So I'm David Lozada. I'm from Behind the Mic and King Gamer. We do a lot of stuff with Cartoon Cypher too. He does a lot of voice acting stuff on YouTube.
Cool. Oh yeah, he does all those very intense those really
exactly
breakdowns. Yeah.
So we help each other out sometimes.
Cool.
We share audio.
Tim Ordar with Comics Beat.
All right.
I'm Otterly. I write for Asian Crush. We're a TV and streaming site for different Asian shows, but I help run the news and media section. We have over 2 million subscribers.
Nice. Congrats.
I feel like I met you last year for the
Sailor Moon, yeah. Yes. You talked about being on Prayer Bear.
I did, yes. I think you were rocking a cool jacket then.
Yeah, it was the same one.
It was the same one.
Yeah.
What a guy. Alright, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, can you describe your journey with the fairy tale series? How did you get involved, and how have you grown with your characters?
Well, I got brought in for an audition, and actually was not planning to audition for Lucy. I think I auditioned for Happy and Urza, and then you said, I think you should give Lucy a try. And I was like, no, I really like this character, and if I audition and I don't get cast, it'll be crushing. And you were like, I think you should audition for this character. So I didn't believe that I was actually gonna play Lucy until we came to New York 7 years ago to premiere it, and I thought to myself, well, they can't recast me now. It's very expensive. So it wasn't until then that I really believed that I was going to be voicing Lucy. And just going on the journey, I've never played a character this long, the same character, and getting to go through all these things. Things that have happened to her in the episode have paralleled things that have happened to me in my life. And so there's been a lot of profound impact that she's had on me as far as confidence and becoming independent and taking risks and believing in myself. So that's been really cool to get to have the influence, and I guess the therapy from a cartoon character.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, like I'd only done like 24 episode shows before, as far as directing and writing and stuff. And on this one, I started out on the writing team from like episode 3, and I've directed 277 episodes and 2 movies, and written like 100 plus. I don't know, so many of them. And I've learned a lot, and just like kind of like ways of storytelling, and like seeing like the cast, we've signed on to be together in some form or fashion. So seeing like my cast grow, and like seeing like the thing spread, because it became very popular, and it's really been impactful to some people. Last year we were at a restaurant, and someone said, "Oh, that's the director from Fairy Tail," and someone else says, like, that when my parents passed away, Fairy Tail got me through it.
Wow!
And it's like, I'm so glad. I'm not. I'm so glad we could help you.
Yeah, but I'm not glad.
So happy your parents died.
This thing meant something to you,
sure.
And it just adds a little extra. You put a little more care into it.
Yeah.
And I'd made a promise to Hiro Mashima that I was going to do the best job possible when I met him 7 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
that was a really cool experience.
And that's still like for years I'd bring tears to my
Yeah.
eyes thinking about it, because it's like his baby, and so I'm responsible for it,
Well, and it's kind of nice once we met him at the very beginning of the journey, to kind of have his blessing and sort of the stamp of approval.
Yeah.
I think meant a lot.
Yeah.
Because we premiered the first episode, and he was like, and I was like, yay, good, awesome.
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was sitting right next to me, and then Todd sat over here, or Todd sat behind me. And Todd was like, does he like it? Is he liking it? I'm like, what do you want me to do? Stare at the man? Come on.
Yeah, he got up for a minute during it, and I'm like, I was like, hey, back. He's a busy guy.
Yeah. He's got a million episodes he's got to create.
Yeah.
So any particular favorite personal moments from the series that stand out?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. A couple that always stand out is the very first meeting with Lucy and the Celestial Spirit King, with the whole Loki saga. And then I love the scene with her and her dad, where she just, I call it the emancipation scene, where she's like, I don't care if you don't want me to be a celestial wizard, I'm doing it anyway, I'm going to be a part of Fairy Tail, and this is what I want, and this is who I am. And working on that scene was one of the reasons why I was like, I have to I have to take a chance and move out to LA. I've been spending so much time flying back and forth, and if she is going to, I'm playing a character that believes so much in herself and believes so much in what she's capable of, that I'm a hypocrite if I don't fully explore that opportunity. And then I loved the Michelle Lobster arc.
That's one of my that arc
it's
gets
one
some
of my
flack for whatever reason,
absolute
'cause
favorites.
It's not like in the manga, but I love that arc.
It's so sweet. I love that one. And I've loved I love the journey of the Nalu ship.
Yeah.
Seeing how that go, and the fans get so passionate about their Nalu ship.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, there's all kinds of funny moments or, meaningful moments. I love working on Gajiel's songs and stuff, and being able to work on those with David Wald, who's also here, and like last time we and him would trade off David Lee Roth impressions.
That's
they kind of get into voice or whatever. And,
what was it? What was the song that you and Newt wrote? What was that for?
We wrote one. It's on It's on the Galuna Island arc. It's about Deliora.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna do a commentary, and Newt's like, we should write a country song about Gray and Deliora. And so we just wrote this over text message.
That's
and then
fantastic.
He played guitar, and I played the bucket that we record suits of armor with.
Yeah.
So for some suits of armor, you speak into a bucket or whatever, and it gives you a metallic effect. So I played that, and then we did another song about Gray and Silver.
Okay.
For in the Tartarus arc.
Okay.
And I played the glass peanut canister that is, and the kazoo that are also been used in several anime, even the kazoo, and so that's been fun. That's a great moment, and I don't know, just kind of just seeing the whole thing grow and just being a part of it. Plus my responsibilities have changed. I was episode writer, director, and then I was a couple of voices, and then I wanted to be every monster, and me and my wife are pretty much every monster in the show.
True.
And we, and now these days I'm writing it and the consulting whatever. So doing casting and talking with Kyle Phillips, who's directed the last couple episodes. So my role has changed from episode writer, director, head writer, director, and then now writer.
Head consultant. Yeah.
I don't know.
So speaking about how you guys actually do your work, you guys are no longer in Texas, but you do a good amount of Funimation titles in LA now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how often are these recordings done in house, and how often are they done remotely in LA? Is there any kind of how does that cross over?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first moved, I was still flying back probably once every 2 to 3 weeks,
Okay.
and I would record for a couple of days. It used to be when we were working on Fairy Tail and a lot of titles before simuldubs, they would just hold all of our hours. I would fly back for a couple days or a week, and then we would just crank through and get as many episodes as we could get done. Now when they started working on simuldubs, there was no time. I mean, you have a week to get things done. There was no way that those of us that live, I guess, out of the DFW area could fly in every week. I think some people, even that live in Houston and Austin, it was hard for them to come up.
Yeah, every week,
once a
especially if you only have an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So that kind of limited how much we were able to work on Funimation titles, which I totally understand. But it was sad for a while since I started at Funimation, so they very much feel like family to me.
Okay.
And so not getting able to work on as many titles was kind of sad. But now with the magic of Source Connect, we record at a studio in Los Angeles. And so for Fairy Tail, we've been doing simuldubs for this last season, and I go in and record once, maybe twice a week in this studio. And then if I'm in Texas, I will go in and record. My family still lives in Texas, so I fly home to visit them, or if I have a convention there, whatever the case is, and I know I'm going to be in the area, I just let them know. And so I'm going to record next week, which will be kind of fun. So I'm seeing my family for Thanksgiving, and then going in and recording and seeing my
Very cool.
my family for
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
And Todd is able to record from his
Yeah.
Like he has Source Connect.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
interesting. This is before simuldubs or whatever, but For example, Dragon Cry, the movie, like Ray Chase and Erica Mendez came out. A lot of times, like people will come out for Akon.
Yeah.
And it's right when the movie comes out.
And you're
so
just like,
like,
I'm gonna grab
so it's like,
them.
oh, I'll get them. I'll get Erica Mendez. I'll get Nate Wants to Battle. I'll get
Christina B.
Christina
was there,
B.
yeah.
She did Source Connect.
Okay.
Todd, I directed him at night at my house.
Did you
over
really?
Skype? And he
Wow.
recorded in his own studio. Carrie Savage recorded her one line at her house.
I think I came in for Dragon Cry.
You came in. Bob Carter recorded his lines in his studio, and I could only hear his live takes. So
Wow, so
the
you had no
monitor
idea
system
Jake
was messed up or something. So he did that, and it all went pretty well. He had his new studio. Mike Center Nicholas, he recorded at Stephanie Shea's studio. And our videos didn't sync. So I was watching my video here and doing there, and they know what they're doing. And it was all like, oh, so can you try to do that a little faster or a little more urgency? Because I'm not sure if that's going to fit. Or
Yeah, sure.
maybe you could savor this line and drag it out, these kind of things. But that was crazy and cobbled together, and it turned out
Yeah, it sounds great.
We got to mix it in like
You
a,
would never
in
know
a
it was done
theatrical,
in so many different
yeah,
cities.
You have to mix it in a theatrical mixing studio. So giant screen, big, big board, and the guy was great who helped us through that one, and we beefed it up. It didn't sound like a movie.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was
Very
really cool.
Very cool.
Cherami, I wanted to ask you, what was it like recording for the character of Elia on Ruby? She is an LGBTQ character.
Yeah.
She's a very conflicted character.
Yeah.
Did you have any inspiration from your own life? Like, how did you prepare for that role?
Well, when I was approached about working on the show, I was very excited because I've been a fan of the show. I didn't know anything about where the character was going to go. Her big reveal scene where she talks about her childhood and the bullying that she endured. I was heavily, heavily bullied when I was in elementary school and middle school, and so I totally connected with that character. I thought it was beautifully written. I loved her so much, and for being a sort of a villain in the show, to have that really great, heartbreaking, vulnerable moment for her that I think so many people could relate to. I just instantly loved the character. I did not know what her preference was going to be. I didn't know how she was going to relate to Blake. I thought maybe they were just friends and they sort of teased it. And then when that big reveal happened later on, I was really, really excited that they were brave enough to go there with her. And I'm so glad that everybody has responded so well to her. And I'm so honored to get to play such a strong, powerful, well-rounded, multidimensional character. I'm very, very proud of her, and I'm very proud of how she turned out in the show.
Any funny or interesting stories you could tell in the recording booth for Fairy Tale?
Way too many. I don't even know. We've recorded for so long.
I mean, it's been hundreds of hours.
There's been hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
I remember at one point there's like a blanket in the booth, and I would for whatever it was, for a couple recording sets, I'm somebody who's always very cold, and I wore I think a Snuggie the entire time recording. And it was one of the episodes where Lucy's like, "It's so hot, I'm dying," and I'm wrapped up in a Snuggie. This is ironic. Todd and Jamie and the rest of the team will always leave some really great jokes and bombs for me to try to trip me up on recording, so that's always very fun.
One of my favorite times was working with Todd. So there's this episode where they're in the Tower of Heaven and he gets this giant cat head on him from Miliana. And at the time at the Funimation Studios, we had this mascot Vegeta head. It was this big, furry, fluffy, mascot head that was this big. And I'm like, all right, Todd, we're recording in Vegeta head.
That's awesome.
It's so the whole scene, he's wearing this thing.
I'll put a picture of that
It
somewhere.
sounded like, I was talking about using the buckets and stuff. I like that
That's
practical
so
effects.
cool.
And he did the whole thing in, the whole episode inside this giant, super hot head. There was no room for the headphones, and that was pretty good. It sounded like somebody wearing a big head,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we were trying to do.
So cool.
And of course, we had to record it again without the head in case some of the lines
Is that the
weren't
one that
clear
they
enough.
went with though? They went with the one the.
Oh yeah,
Of course.
yeah. I'm like, you have to
You have to use it.
You have to honor
I'm making your
our,
life easier.
our commitments
Yeah.
to Fairy Tale.
We have way too much fun recording, especially that show. I always joke around. I'm like, Lucy, I forget how much vocal acrobatics she has until we do a session. I'm like, she's all over the place. She's a really, really
Okay.
low. She's like, has her very sweet sentimental moments. She's like screaming at Natsu. She's like screaming at Happy. She's crying. I mean, after I finish a session, I'm like, I am emotionally exhausted. I was just standing in a booth talking all day, and then I'm like, well, we did go on a journey
Yeah.
of emotions in 5 minutes.
And even if you watch that Becoming Lucy video on YouTube,
Yeah.
between you,
Yeah.
like, you know, when like Flair's hair grabs you, you know,
That's
like,
so
that kind of
fun
stuff.
though. I love doing the all of the reaction like runs that we get to do during the battle, and we got to a point since we've been working on the show for so long. Usually we take them like one cue at a time, sometimes a couple cues at a time, and it's always so fun when Tyler just keeps scrolling, and I'm like, how long can we scroll? How long? And then of course I'll like trip myself up because I'm so excited about how far we're going. And he's like, all right, let's fix that. I think it was Kyle that was mixing. He was like, give me 30 minutes and I'll place all of that because we had gone so
Yeah,
far.
sometimes you record one line at a time, and I hardly ever do. We'll do like, you know, as many as
Yeah.
humanly possible,
Because
just
you get
to
the flow
get
of the
immersed
scene.
in the scene.
Yeah.
We'll fix the timing.
Yeah.
Whatever that.
We'll come
you
in
know.
for piece by piece if we need to, but that's always really fun.